Welcome, everybody. We're doing another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. I am excited to have Canadian author with me today, all the way from Toronto. Pretty nifty. Her name is Preethie, and I'm not going to butcher her last name because that would be rude. So Preethie is going to pronounce her last name for us. Go ahead,
Th-
Preethie.
Thank you. It's Preethie Balasubramanian.
Yeah, I'm so glad I didn't try to attempt that. I would have mangled it horribly. Welcome to the program. I'm so glad that you found us and that you're here to read for us today. Um, you are, as we talked in the green room, you're originally from India and you're
hmm
now living in Canada. Was there ever a, a, a stumbling block or a challenge with coming into writing stories that are not in your native language that you had to kind of, I've had other authors on the program who English is not their first language and they have to kind of do an internal translation when they write. Did you run into any challenges in doing that?
No, because basically, though I am, yes, from India and I speak different languages in the house, but then my entire education was in English.
Ah,
And
okay.
and I think so, yes, English is more like my first language when it comes to writing. That's the language I write best in. The others are
That's
not so
perfect.
much.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. That's an interesting flip. Um I have heard other bilingual authors tell me that it was a translation problem for them. So that I think it's very curious that you didn't run
hmm
into that. Um, so your story today is Aria's Patience Project, and this is book one of the Everyday Superpowers series.
hmm
Can you introduce us to the series as a whole? Give me an understanding of the overarching umbrella of what this series is doing for children's literature.
hmm So with this series, my idea is to bring in like the concept like patience, and the second book is in the works, so that's more in terms of honesty. And so it's basically all those small, simple values that they need to learn in life. But then as little kids, like if you tell them, oh, you have to be honest, it doesn't work. They don't understand, or they don't like know why it is important or why I should do that. So like the same thing with patience. And patience especially is something difficult for the little kids because
Oh, of
they're
course.
always up and about and bouncy and want to get things done. And especially like with the today's world with technology and everything, everybody
Right.
wants instant gratification the minute they want something they wanted. So
Well, and children, I've often made this comparison, good or bad. Children are like puppies, right? They live in the moment
mhm,
and they live for the next moment of fun.
yes.
So something like patience is not always easily achieved for little ones.
Yeah, so my intention also was even like for my own children. And sometimes, like as I write, I feel like I'm learning too, because when you're thinking of something and you're explaining it or writing it in a way that a 5 year old or a 6 year old would understand, you also then start relating, oh, maybe I'm saying this, but am I doing it myself? Or maybe I should also start being more patient.
Sure.
So things like that. So mainly like, so this is actually my second series of children's books, and the first one also did speak about values, but then they were more Hindu mythology front, which also then
Okay.
did connect to some values and connect to moral lessons. But then this series is more going to be chapter books, so for maybe kids 6 or 7 up. And
Okay.
each book is going to showcase one value like patience, honesty, being brave, kind of thing, as a superpower, because it's that's something they have to learn. And once they know that how to use it, where to use it the right way, it can be a superpower for them to use.
Absolutely. It'll certainly make life easier as they get
Mhm.
older. That's for sure. Tell me about Aria. As we listen to you read in just a few minutes, tell me about was it that drew you to writing this particular character?
I think this character is a lot driven by my own daughter. My daughter is 5,
Okay.
and yeah, patience is not one of her strong points, as it isn't for most 5-year-olds. So some of the ideas and things are also driven by like real life instances that happened, or like once I read the story, like there is a place where Aria cannot wait to get her food done on time because she doesn't have the patience for it to finish cooking and then get it. And she's in a hurry and she tries to flip it around and it becomes a problem. And then she has to now wait for a fresh batch to get done.
Right,
So,
which means it takes even longer.
yeah, and I think some of these things have happened in my house with
Mm,
my
okay.
with me and my own daughter kind of thing. So some things are inspired by what happened, and uh, yes, the character is a little older than my daughter is, but in the book, but then yeah, this character is more based on my daughter.
Yeah, I find it interesting over and over again as I interview more and more authors. So many fictional characters and situations really do come out of real life.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. I am excited to hear you read for us today. I think this is going to be a really fun treat. Aria's Patience Project. When you are ready, Preeti, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Okay. So this is actually about 20 chapters long, so I may not be going through the whole thing. So let's start with chapter 1, the longest line ever. Arya Raman was absolutely certain that the lunch line in Maple Grove Elementary had been created for one reason only, to test her sanity. She shifted her weight from one foot to other, leaning forward dramatically, as if her entire 7.5-year-old body could somehow push the line along. It didn't. Noor, who stood behind her, clutching a lunch tray like a calm little monk, raised an eyebrow. You're doing that bouncing thing again, Noor whispered. Not bouncing, Arya whispered back. Bouncing. The cafeteria smelled like a warm bread rolls and mystery gravy. The noise levels hovered somewhere between mild chaos and small thunderstorm. The lunch queue, however, refused to move. Arya craned her neck to see the front. She could barely spot the head of the first kid. It felt like a distant dream. How is it possible, she muttered, for a line to move this slowly? Are they cooking the food one grain at a time? Noor giggled. Maybe everyone is asking for seconds. Seconds? We haven't even reached first. A boy 2 places ahead turned and shrugged. It's Pizza Wednesday. Everyone's taking forever choosing toppings. Arya's eye widened. That's it. We are going to starve. No, you're just impatient, Noor said gently. Arya made a face. The word impatient always made her feel itchy, like someone had placed a too big sweater over her thoughts. She looked at the gap in front of her. It really wasn't a gap, not exactly. More like a tiny sliver of space, an opportunity, a chance, a moment. I could just step forward a little, Arya reasoned, just to help the universe. No, Noor said immediately. Absolutely no. Don't do the tiny step. The tiny step becomes a big step. But it's practically not even a step, Arya insisted. It's like a toe wiggle forward. Arya, but it was too late. Arya shifted half an inch, then a whole inch, until she was standing in front of the boy who had shrugged. She didn't mean to cut, not really. In her mind, she was reorganizing the line for efficiency. She was contributing to society. Hey, the boy protested. No cutting. I didn't cut, Arya said defensively. I was adjusting. Back to the line, Arya. It was the unmistakable voice of Miss Callahan, their homeroom teacher who also managed crowd control during lunch. Arya froze. But I just. No cutting, no adjusting, no reorganizing. You know the rule. The cafeteria had gone strangely quiet, or maybe it just felt that way because embarrassment had flooded Arya's ears. Noor gave her an apologetic smile as Arya trudged to the very end of the line. The end. The distant, hopeless, no pizza for days end. She stood there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed, watching as the line inched forward at the pace of a tired snail. You need to learn to wait, Arya, Miss Callahan said, passing by again. Her tone wasn't harsh, just matter of fact, like she was stating the weather. Arya bit her lip, waiting, the arch nemesis of her entire life, the enemy of progress, the thorn in the rose garden of childhood. Why did adults think waiting was some magical skill? If something needed doing, why not do it quickly? Why waste minutes, hours, lifetimes in lines? But the time she finally reached the front, the pizza slice looked tired, as if they too had been waiting forever. She took her tray and plopped down next to Noor. You okay? Noor asked gently. Waiting is terrible, Arya declared. Who invented waiting? Why didn't they invent a better system? Noor chewed slowly, thinking, well, maybe waiting teaches us something. Yeah, Arya grumbled. It teaches us that lines are torture. Noor giggled again. But before she could respond, the bell rang. Kids jumped up, trays clattered, and Arya sighed deeply. Another day, another struggle with waiting. As she and Noor walked back to class, Arya made a silent promise to herself. One day she would find a way to live in a world without waiting. It was a bold promise, an impossible promise, but Arya never shied away from impossible things. She just didn't know that her entire life was about to shift thanks to one tiny notebook and a very wise Paati grandmother. Chapter 2, The Dosa Disaster. By the time Arya got home that afternoon, she had decided three things. One, she would never stand in a line again. Two, waiting was pointless. Three, Pizza Wednesday should come with a warning label. She tossed her backpack in its usual somewhere near the shoe rack position and sniffed the air. Crispy dosa, potato masala, and a hint of ghee. Paati was cooking. Arya zoomed into the kitchen like a tiny tornado. Paati, is the dosa ready? She demanded. Paati was standing at the stove, her grey hair tied in a loose bun, her sari tucked in neatly. She didn't even turn around. She simply smiled. Arya could hear her smiling while pouring a perfect circle of batter onto the hot pan. It will be ready, Paati said in that calm, musical voice of hers, when it is ready. Arya groaned. But Paati, I'm starving, like desert camel level starving. You ate pizza an hour ago. That was hours and ages ago. Paati lifted one eyebrow. Lift your nose slightly, Kanna. Do you smell it? Arya inhaled dramatically. Yes, crispy edges. Good thing, Paati said, gripping the dosa with a grateful wrist turn. Takes their own time. Arya folded her arms. This again, adults and their mysterious proverbs. But why? Why can't dosa be instant? Why can't life be instant? Paati chuckled. If dosa were instant, it wouldn't taste so nice. If life were instant, you wouldn't enjoy the surprises. Arya didn't want surprises. She wanted her dosa. She watched the pan as as though sheer willpower could speed up the cooking. Paati took forever. Okay, fine, maybe 30 seconds to crisp the edges. Arya leaned closer, closer, even closer. Paati gently nudged her back. Careful, Kana, hot pan. Arya nodded, but her eyes stayed glued to the dosa. As Paati started folding it, Arya felt herself reach peak impatience. Let me do it, she exclaimed, grabbing the spatula. Before Paati could protest, Arya tried flipping the dosa herself. Splat! The dosa didn't flip. It didn't fold. It didn't do anything respectable. Instead, it flopped off the pan onto the stove, then slid down the counter like a sad, oily slug. Paati gasped softly. Ayyo! Arya stared at the dosa carnage. I meant to do that. Paati's lips twitched as she tried not to laugh. You tried to hurry something that wasn't ready. Arya sank onto a chair, cheeks burning. It's the line's fault, and Miss Callahan's fault, and the pizza's fault too. Paati placed a gentle hand on Arya's shoulder. Tell me what happened. Arya launched into a dramatic retelling of the infamous lunch line incident. She enacted the toe wiggling. She described how the pizza slices looked betrayed by the end. She even mimicked Miss Callahan's stern voice. Paati listened without interrupting, something Arya wished adults did more often. When Arya finally finished, breathless and indignant, Paati nodded. You had a long day, the longest. Paati went to the cabinet, pulled out a tiny notebook, the color of mango pulp, and placed it in front of Arya. What's this? Arya asked. A little something I made for you. Arya opened it. On the first page, written in Paati's beautiful slanting handwriting, were the words Arya's Patience Project, a collection of tiny moments where waiting becomes wisdom. Arya blinked. Paati, is this homework? No, Paati said, her eyes twinkling. This is your superpower journal. Superpower? Arya repeated. Yes, not everyone learns to pause or breathe or wait. But those who do, they see the world differently. They see more. Arya wasn't convinced. But I don't want to wait. Paati tapped the cover of the notebook. Then write that as your first entry. Arya frowned. The notebook felt important, mysterious, like it held secrets she hadn't yet understood. She picked up her pencil, flipped to page one, and wrote, Entry 1. I hate waiting, especially for dosa. Paati read it and laughed. A very honest start. She turned the notebook over in her hands. Maybe, just maybe, the project wouldn't be terrible. Paati, she said quietly. Yes, Kana, can I have another dosa? Paati grinned. If you can wait 1 minute. Arya gasped. 1 whole minute? 1 minute. Arya slid the notebook into her pocket, set a timer on the microwave, and sat as still as she could. It was the longest 60 seconds of her life, but she waited. Mostly, a little bit, maybe with some bouncing. When the timer beeped, Paati placed a perfectly folded golden brown dosa onto her plate. Arya took a bite. Okay, she admitted. Worth the wait. Paati winked. Most good things are.
That was fabulous. Thank you so much. I love how you have absolutely captured the whimsy of little children.
Mhm.
It was like living with my son all over again 35 years ago. It is just wonderful. Um, where did you get the idea? Because I love this could be a great tool to give little children who are having challenges with lessons like patience, giving them a
Mhm.
journal. Where
Mhm.
did you get the idea to incorporate that into your story?
Um, I think like with the journal side of it, so sometimes yes, I journal myself, and
Mm-hmm.
then like for my son, especially now that he's going into high school, and now that between classes and things, and he's an author too, so his writing and all the things that he
Nice.
does, um, sometimes it's planning everything so that he doesn't miss an assignment or miss something or uh, basically better time management. I tell him to write things down. So he now has like a journal where he would plan his day or like plan what all he has to do, like what today, what tomorrow, so that he doesn't miss. So, and generally, I think by nature also, I am a very list taker, note taker kind of a person. So
Okay.
I kind of try to pass that on to my children too.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. I'm what I like to call a passionate plotter. So in my writing, I plot things out very carefully. I'm an outline maker. I keep a day planner with all of my things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because it means that I get to empty my brain of all the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
The frustration goes on the page rather than sticking in my head.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I was feeling you were doing in giving this journal to Aria in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and to your point, you just reminded me. So, like when I was a little kid, and if something didn't go well or something I felt bad about or something, my dad used to tell me this, like write it in a piece of paper, crumble it, throw it in the dustbin. So it's like you're actually taking that feeling or thought away. You put it in paper and you've thrown it away, so it kind of leaves you.
Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful. I think that's the power of journaling, really, is
Mm-hmm.
that you get to empty all those thoughts out of your
Yeah.
brain so you have room for happier things, I
Yeah.
think. Tell me about, you said the next book in this series will be coming out shortly. Can you give
Mm-hmm.
us a little hint of what that book is going to be about?
So the second one's more in terms of honesty, and honesty sometimes, like even as adults, when we are going through our life the normal way, like we don't really think about, oh, am I being honest, am I not? But then when there are that challenges or when something goes wrong is when you're like, sometimes even as adults we stop, we're like, oh, does telling the truth or the complete truth get me into trouble, or will it cause some problem, will it do something, then
Sure.
maybe let me hold back part of it, all of it, or like basically nobody asked, so I'm not saying, so I'm not exactly lying, but I'm not being honest too. So
Yeah, it's that internal negotiation we have with
yes,
honesty on a regular basis, right?
yeah.
Like we're always trying to negotiate. How much should I say? How much shouldn't I say? Does it make sense
Mm-hmm.
to be blunt?
Yes.
That's a great idea for a book. I love that you're giving children the opportunity to experience how these techniques work,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can grow into using them more readily.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad you came on the program today.
Thank you.
And I hope you will come back. I know that you have another whole series of books,
Mm-hmm.
and I look forward to having you come back and read those for us as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.